Good morning. Today we're going to look at solving radical equations, and we are going to take two examples. So example 1 says 5 times radical x plus 1 cube root, right, of x plus 1 plus 10 equals to 25. So the goal is to get a radical expression by itself, then undo the radical or do the inverse operation of the radical so that we can solve for x, right? So our goal is to get this radical expression by itself. So in other words, I need to get rid of the 5 and the 10, okay? So the first thing we want to do is to subtract 10 on both sides, okay? So we're doing minus 10 on the left, minus 10 on the right. So we end up with 5 cube root of x plus 1 equals to 15. Okay, now from here we can divide both sides by 5, right? So if I divide both sides by 5, this 5 goes away, so we end up with the cube root of x plus 1 equals to 3. Now with the radical by itself, we can now undo the radical, or we can do the inverse operation of a cube root, which is cube. So we're going to cube both sides. Okay, so by so doing, the cube root and the cube will cancel out. So I end up with x plus 1 on the left hand side, and the cube of 3 is 27. So finally we can subtract 1 on both sides. So we end up with x equals to 26. Now we always want to check if the solution we got will satisfy the equation. So if I plug in 26 here, x is 26. If I plug in 26, I'm going to get 26 plus 1, which is 27. The cube root of 27 will be 3, and the 3 times 5 is going to give us 15, and 15 plus 10 will give us 25. So this answer checks out nicely. Okay, this is example 1. Now let's look at example 2. In example 2, we have square root of x plus 8 minus square root of x equals to 2. Now what we want to do is to eliminate the square root, the radical sign, okay? So to do that, there are two ways we could do. We can square both sides so that we will FOIL these two expressions, or to make our life less complicated, I'm going to move the square root of x to the right hand side, okay? And that is going to be far easier than trying to FOIL these two expressions. So I'm half square root of x plus 8 on the left hand side equals square root of x plus 2. Remember, square root of x was negative, so when I move it to the other side, it becomes a plus, right? Positive. So now I can square both sides. Remember, this is a square root, so the inverse operation will be squared, okay? So in the first example, we had a cube root, so we did a cube to get rid of the radical. So now I can, the square root and the square will cancel out, so we have x plus 8 on the left hand side, and on the right hand side we are going to FOIL this, all right? In other words, we're going to do radical x plus 2 times radical x plus 2, right? Like we did before. So you FOIL that, you do all that, right? Multiply by that, multiply. So when I do that, I end up with x, right, plus 4 radical x plus 4. Okay, so I want you to go back and check. So radical x times radical x is x. X times 2 is 2 radical x plus 2 radical x plus 4. And this expression is what I have here, right? When I combine like terms, 2 plus 2 is a 4. So I have 4 radical x plus 4. So this is what I did, right, to get this expression. Now I can subtract x on both sides, okay? So the x's will cancel out. So on the left hand side I have 8 equals 4 radical x plus 4. Now we can subtract 4 on both sides. Okay, so now I end up with 4 here. Let me underline that so that cancels out. So 4 here equals 4 radical x. Okay, now I can divide both sides by 4 because I'm trying to get the radical by itself. So I end up with radical x equals to 1. Now finally, I can get rid of the radical by squaring both sides. Remember, we are trying to solve for x. So now the square root will cancel out, and I end up with x equals to 1. Okay, and again, you want to plug it in to see if that works out, right? So if I plug in 1 plus 8 is 9, square root of 9 will be a 3, then 1, square root of 1 is 1, so I have 3 minus 1, which equals to 2. So the answer checks out nicely. All right, I hope this was helpful. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.